So this is one of the strangest crits I've ever raced in. This is the 2019 Alfalfa's Criterium, the first 40 plus and 50 plus Cat 4 race. You can see from the elevation profile that it's not your typical crit. Each lap has about 110 feet of elevation gain. And we're at the start, we're going uphill. Basically, this long straightaway is a steady uphill, about 2-3%. Then turns to the right, climbs for about half that leg. The steepest part of the climb is on after you turn right, and then it's all downhill around that backside. And then it comes up back to a small hill right before the final turn. Winds today were out of the east, which is kind of interesting. So it means that this tailwind, this straightaway section was a tailwind. Okay, so I moved up to the front as soon as I could in the first lap. I didn't really get a chance to adequately warm up, and I didn't feel like I got a chance to test myself on this hill. So here I am doing about 250 to 300 watts on the front. Not going very fast, maybe 17 miles an hour, but it gives me a sense of what kind of effort I'll have to put in, either on the front or in the peloton. This, when you look at it on the map, this straightaway doesn't look that long, but man, I attacked on lap 4, and man, it was a long straightaway. Okay, here we are, turning right. The pitch steepens right where the moto is. The pitch steepens up to about 5%. So for a crit, this is a huge amount of elevation gain per lap. So you can see on the steep pitch there, one of my teammates, Ian, he's probably our best climber. He goes past me. And here I'm basically dropping my power down a little bit. I'm going to sag this climb, let him go by. I'm still doing 350 watts, but really you got to do about 400 watts. I had to do about 400 watts up this little short pitch to kind of stay with the group. But because I was on the front, I was able to sag backward. So here we go down the big descent. And I thought this is where I was going to make up most of my ground, but it's hard. It's hard to move around with the headwind. We'll turn the corner here back to the east. That headwind really made it hard to kind of move around independent of the pack. Very sketchy road. This thing was full of like manhole covers, sand, cracks, and even worse, you can kind of see there's cars going the other direction, but no line in the road and no continuous barrier. Like every 100 feet or so, they put up a section of rigid barrier. And in more than one race, as you'll see in this race, actually, the path forward gets obscured by the peloton, and all of a sudden you're about to run in head on to a rigid metal barrier. I don't know why they couldn't just spring to put cones along the entire course. So there was definitely some safety issues with this race. I suspect this may be the last year that they do it. I don't mean to call out the race organizers negatively, because I sure appreciate what they do. But anyway, so here we are. We're on this the kind of last stretch before the final turn. There's a little bit of a hill here, about 25 feet of elevation gain on this second hill, and then flattens out going into the final turn. And this final turn was pretty bad. It was it's not excessively tight, but the road leading into it's pretty tight, so people would funnel down, a lot of brakes, and it's not wide. And there was that drainage, kind of concrete drainage barrier across there that was made it kind of a strange final turn. You really, my hope was to be able to basically really dive bomb that thing hard and then attack on the straightaway, but you had to waste a lot of energy kind of going, braking, and then digging out of that turn. So on to lap 2. I should introduce myself while we have some slow times here. My name is Morgan Brown. My channel here is called The Pack Filler. I have a normal YouTube channel that's got a lot more subscribers, but the people who subscribe to it don't really want to see bike racing, so I put all my bike racing stuff on this channel. I race for pedal racing out of Littleton, Colorado, and I'm 45 years old. I'm a Cat 4 racer. I have been for several years. I would love to upgrade someday, but you know, when you're the pack filler, it's for a reason. So I'm sitting in here, still doing about 300 watts plus, just to kind of sit in the pack. So it's a struggle. You know, maybe as the race progresses, that'll lessen up, but we'll see. And before you waste a bunch of your time watching this race, I actually retired from this race after 5 laps for several reasons. I was having a mechanical problem where my in my highest gear going down that big huge descent, where I hit a bump, in high gear the gear would shift to a lower gear, so it's irritating / dangerous. Had about 5 or 6 teammates in this race, both in the 40 plus and 50 plus categories. 2 in the 50 plus race. I think there was 4 of us in the 40 plus race. 40 plus race, we really didn't have a good finish, but 50 plus they did well. Yeah, this descent was really sketchy. I don't know what it was about it, but people just kind of spread out into a big glob, and I thought I'd be able to kind of sag the climbs and then totally move up here, but man, I thought people were just riding like idiots on this section, and there was a lot of obstructions too. It was not a good road. And then coming back to the flat section, grading to uphill like a brick wall. Apparently there are a lot of crashes today from what I heard. A lot of near crashes. Apparently on this final turn here, a guy in one of the Cat 5 race, I think, actually went over, hit the barrier and flew over the barrier and into traffic, almost got hit by a car. So yeah, it's scary stuff. So here I am doing 700, 800 watts, just digging out of that corner. It's so irritating. I guess what made it hard for me is if you can sit in the front, you can conserve a lot of energy in that turn, but in order to sit in the front, it means you've got to move up in the downhill section, and I wasn't able to move up in the downhill section. That was irritating to me. Maybe I'm just a wimp, but so yeah, my hope was to kind of conserve energy on the climb, sag climb, and then make up a lot of ground on this descent and be in a kind of leading position going into the turn, but I just wasn't able to do that. Starting lap 3. This is a 10-lap race for us. This is a long course, about 1.6 miles per lap, so we were only slated to do 10 laps. Even though it's a tailwind, but I'm still doing high 200s, well into the 300s, just to hold wheels in this section. So that's not going to last forever. I'm a big guy, but that's a big power output. This is I want to say about a 1 minute section. The straightaway is about a 1 minute section, maybe another 30 seconds here in the climb. So a minute and a half, roughly speaking, on the climbs. Yeah, the course was strange. It was, the width of the course varied a lot. You can see that barrier there. And they just, just the nature of the roads, I guess, but it makes for some pretty sketchy riding when the width of the course is varying. Watch this guy. Unbelievable. Yeah, my teammate, so there's the Shrunken Head Rider had a near-death experience. He's still in it, but he's a little bit chastened. My teammate Robert Shoemaker actually told me that he dropped a chain avoiding that. He dropped a chain in a previous race too, so he may have some, like me, he's gonna do something with his limit screws. I've got to adjust my limit screws, evidently. This gear skipping business. That little fiasco wasn't the only thing that popped up in the middle of the course, as you'll see fairly soon. I won't spoil it. So I'm sitting in the back of the pack, which is not an awesome place to be, but what you gonna do? That's a good 400, almost 500 watts, 600, just to hold the group up that second hill. So this is very physical crit from the terrain. There's Robert, and you can see him pulling up in the rear view. He had to stop, I think, and dismount his bike and mess with the chain, but he got back on. I think it took something out of him though. It's so frustrating to get accordioned like that, but the nature of the game in a crit, if you're in the back. It was hard to tail gun that race too, because it is slightly uphill into the final turn. So he'd like to just sag back and coast as the accordion takes effect. But number one, there wasn't much room in the turn, and number two, it just yeah, it's hard. Anyway, so lap 4 here, I guess.
Nice job. Got a guy had his head down, I think.
Sitting in the very back of the pack.
Strange course.
A little bit easier.
Narrows and widens pretty a lot.
Low 200s. Starting to ramp up 300 watts. I guess the meat of the climb must steepen in through here. One of these days I'll remember to put a grade when I do these videos. I'm getting better, but I still have some learning to do. It's kind of weird, as narrow as the course was in places. It had the whole 2 lanes plus a bike lane to yourself on this straightaway section on South Boulder Road. I should say the Alfalfa's crit was in Louisville, Colorado, which is fairly close to Boulder. Alfalfa's is a supermarket in the Boulder area, and kudos to them for willing to put their name on a bike race. They've been pretty supportive. This race, historically, it's been going on for a long time, the Louisville crit, but it was held some distance away on a pretty conventional flat course, which I loved. It was typically the state championship, master state championship criterium. It was called the Lucky Pie crit because of the bike team, Lucky Pie bike team that sponsored it. But all right, coming down the downhill. Really not a lot of dropped riders that I can see at this point. Willing to do risky things to move up. Yeah, my risk aversion on this this descent. I usually like to descend, but this gave me the heebie-jeebies. So our goal, actually, our plan of attack before the race was to have me and Ian, who's our strung climber, we were going to attack around like lap 3 or 4. And the idea was that Ian would be able to help pull me up the climbs, and I would be able to help pull him on the downhills, and we might be able to stay away. Probably with a couple other guys coming along. It almost happened, but not quite. Alright, coming into the final, look at this, where the Alfalfa grocery store is. The road pinches down. It's a little bit scary. Alright, so here's where I decided to go. I had to pull about 1,000 watts to dig out of that corner. I rode this guy's wheel, and then I go around him. So boom, excellent position for an attack. Doing 1,000 watts, good gap, down to like 450, and looks like a textbook attack actually. 450. I probably need to dial it back here. I'm still quite a ways from the top of this darn hill. And if I hadn't have had to burn a match digging out of that stupid turn, this attack might have been much more successful. So I've got a good gap right now, but I'm starting to fade. I'm doing what I think is sustainable, trying to dial it back down to 300. I got a couple guys coming up. Here's Ian, my teammate. He blows by me. Got 2 Shrunken Head dudes in tow. And he just, he's like, come on. I'm okay, man. Okay, I'm doing 400. I'm hurting though. And we're about to turn the corner, and they're pulling away from me. And the group has gotten pretty motivated. You can see them coming back in. This little group, if it would have been if I would have been able to rejoin it, basically, that might have had a chance of working. Had a couple of good climbers in there. 4 men in a 40-person field. It's got a chance. But I'm a big boy. I'm 6'8", 210 pounds. So here I'm already blowing up, and they're gone. I'm just basically trying to survive at this point. Let's see if I can sag back and catch the end of the group. But I'm pretty smoked. Those uphills really, that is not my cup of tea. So I'm in pretty good position here. I'm just kind of planning to use my weight to catch back on the group. And hopefully Ian and the other 2 guys got away. That, as a teammate, that would have been a good outcome. It's harder than expected to catch back on this group. The headwind sort of intensified the draft effect. So here I'm dangling in the wind, wanting to work much harder than hoped for to catch back on from this descent. But you can almost always catch them at the bottom where it flattens out and they start to squish back together. I think that attack was caught pretty quickly. The group looked pretty motivated, and there were only 2 teams in the break, and at least 7, 8, maybe 10 teams represented here. So I'm still not quite caught back on again. I'm still hurting physically from that attack. Something interesting is about to happen. Let's see. Is this the spot? Yep, you're yelling. Okay, they're slowing down. Here's a car has made a freaking U-turn into the road. You have bikes going around it on both sides with barriers in there. It's just a total shit show. And what sucks is that the lead elements of the group have used that as an excuse to string it out. I guess all's fair in bike racing. I don't blame him, but that hurt me. And I was at this point, I was just like, this is crazy. My goal for the year is to do well in the Steamboat Stage race. I don't want to have a season-ending crash on a stupid-ass race like this. So here I am dangling out the back, hoping I can catch on. I feel like I can probably catch on, but it's gonna hurt. I'm already pretty cooked. So I'm back on again, but I wouldn't say I'm in a happy place. This is the tailwind section, so it really did. It sped up the climb. That was a fast enough climb to where you could get a draft effect, but the tailwind lessened the draft effect that we were trying to get. So it hurt us guys who don't climb very well. Here we are. I'm in a vulnerable spot here. There's a gap opening. Got a big guy in front of me. I know he's not feeling good right now. I'm asking myself, do I really want it? And I think the answer is really no. But you can always catch back on. Hopefully, backside. They are getting away. They're getting away, and I am in a bad spot. Not good. And of course, this is where I had a chance to really light it up and go pretty fast. But this road is just, here I am, my gears are skipping and I'm running over manhole covers and all sorts of garbage in the road. So I'm not making up the ground that I'd hoped to. Yeah, and we are thoroughly dropped. So this race is over for me. Well, I was kind of curious what would happen if I attacked, and I guess the answer was I was going to get hurt pretty badly. So, you never know until you try. I feel like I could have sat in. I could have just sat in on this race really easily, but I don't think I would have anything else but a mid-pack finish. I just was not real comfortable moving around in the field in this race. So here I am. I'm just basically ready to retire. Here comes Robert. He's chasing, but we're both screwed. So I take a detour into the Alfalfa's parking lot, and my race is over. Kind of a lame way to race, but